Welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Kylie and I make content on being a young person living a fulfilling life even though she has a sleep disorder. If you don't know what narcolepsy is, head on over to Narcolepsy 101 where I break it down for you. This is the first of my Pregnant with Narcolepsy series, and in this particular video we are discussing my initial concerns. This is something that is not talked about nearly enough, and there are basically no human studies done on women who are being treated for narcolepsy who are pregnant. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to share my experience. A little background on me before I start, in case this is the first video of mine you're watching. I'm 28 years old and I've had narcolepsy for a decade. I am currently pregnant for my first time and we are anxiously waiting the arrival of our little boy. If you want to know exactly what my story is with narcolepsy, head on over to My Narcoleptic Story, where I explain in full detail how it went down in my life and how it's been since I found out. With all that out of the way, let's get into my initial concerns. To continue or not to continue my treatment? That is the question. Although I was never sure that I'd have kids someday, in the last decade of me having narcolepsy, I have been on Facebook groups where I've seen tons of women talk about the fact that they stopped their treatment for narcolepsy while they were pregnant. I remember thinking, if I ever get pregnant, I'm going to stop my treatment too. Why wouldn't I stop it for that? However, it wasn't until I found myself pregnant in January of this year that I realized, I don't know if I'm so certain about that decision. Because there's little to no info out there to help me make my decision, I quickly became concerned. I know that the reason there's little to no studies out there on women who are taking treatment for narcolepsy that are pregnant, because it's not really ethical to say, hey, take this stuff and let's just see what happens and we'll take a chance on you and your unborn baby and maybe the effects on your baby once they are born. And I know there have been some studies on animals with mixed results. However, what this does is it leaves women to consult with their doctors and then ultimately use their intuition at whether they choose to continue their treatment or not. I know for me, when I called the pharmacy who provides my medication and my neurologist who prescribes the medication, they both left it up to me. I know this isn't the case for everyone. Some women have underlying health conditions and the doctors may tell them that it's in their best interest to stop treatment. However, from what I've seen in the narcoleptic community, it's usually up to you. Here are some things that went through my head when weighing my options. If I stop taking it, then I'm eliminating the potential risk of it having effects on me while I'm pregnant and my child both during and after pregnancy. Without my treatment, I will go backwards very quickly, which means in just a week or so, I'm decreasing my quality of life by around 60 to 70%. No treatment means an increase in symptoms, including cataplexy. This is the symptom that causes you to lose muscle tone whenever you have strong emotion or laughter. And the longer I'm without the treatment, the stronger the symptoms become, and that could be very dangerous for a pregnant woman. And lastly, without my medication, I'm not going to be able to drive in about a month's time or work. And not only is that inconvenient, but it's not very doable for most people. I know I'm very lucky to have a partner who supports any decision I make, and I know he would back me up 100% if I decided to no longer take it and stay home throughout the pregnancy, and he would trust that I made the right decision. However, that's not the case for everyone. I think for a lot of people, they're depending on two incomes in order to survive because that's just the world we're living in today. So what was my decision? Well, after talking to my neurologist and my OB, I decided to continue the medication. My intuition tells me that this is the best choice for myself and my family. I am a very healthy individual and I have been taking this treatment for 8 to 9 years now. I will be able to work and save up money before I have time off of work after the pregnancy, and I will be able to feel strong and healthy during my pregnancy and not afraid of injuring myself because of some of the symptoms that come with it. And in the back of my mind, I know that if there's any complications with myself or with Jackson, then I can always stop my treatment and continue it after my pregnancy. Can I even breastfeed if I'm taking the medication involved in my treatment? Similar to my first concern, I was worried, am I able to still continue this if I plan to breastfeed? As we all know, if a woman's body gives her the ability to breastfeed, then she is able to make the choice if she would like to breastfeed, formula feed, or a combination of both. Initially, when I started researching breastfeeding, it seemed like a lot and very complicated. And I wasn't ruling it out, but I was like, yeah, I got some more research to do and I need to talk to some people that have done it. During this time, the giant formula shortage was happening, which makes me anxious. Eventually I decided, yeah, I'm gonna try and breastfeed. But if my body does not allow me to do so, then I'll formula feed with no problem and no guilt, because you gotta do what you gotta do. That's when I started realizing, wait, okay, if my body actually allows me to breastfeed and I'm able to do it and it's not too hard, am I even able to because of my treatment? Not only was I worried about, can I take this or can I not if I want to breastfeed, I also started to get emotional. Not just like the breastfeeding part, like you hear people talk about how it's like this great experience and this bond, but that aside, just in general, like, how am I going to be the best parent I can be if I stop taking my treatment and have such a low quality of life? So I started to use the resources I had. I kept researching online. I kept speaking to my neurologist and asking questions. I would go on my Facebook groups for narcolepsy and talk to others. Nobody's situation is exactly the same, but they are way more similar to my situation than anyone I know in real life. I even joined in some virtual meetings with a group that I will link below in the description. It's called Wake Up Narcolepsy. It's an amazing virtual group about parenting and pregnancy and other topics for people with narcolepsy. I did join that meeting and everyone was so kind. These were my findings. After researching it, I found that there was really only like one study that was done on breastfeeding and people continuing the treatment. It was done years ago on an older version of the treatment that I no longer take. So it wasn't very helpful, but it also didn't say, no, you can't breastfeed and continue your treatment. My neurologist, who has known me for a decade, knows my health history, knows how I've been with my treatment, and knows how well my pregnancy has been going so far, straight up told me, I think you'll be just fine continuing it, even with breastfeeding. My narcolepsy groups on Facebook, I got a lot of women who have shared their experiences with me, and that has given me a lot of good insight and made me feel better, even though no two people's experiences are exactly the same. But it gave me hope to know that yes, many people with narcolepsy who continued their treatment were able to successfully breastfeed. And lastly, the virtual meeting that I did was with a group called Wake Up Narcolepsy. I have both their website and the link to join their meetings in the description below. Everyone in the meeting was very kind, genuine, didn't sound super commercialized or like they're pushing an agenda. They were just there to help you and to talk, and they genuinely wanted to be there. And by the end of it, I even asked a question. They all shared their experiences with me, and again, it just helps to talk to people sometimes that know what you're talking about. So I definitely recommend hopping on one of those meetings if you are thinking about getting pregnant or adopting, or you are pregnant, etc. They talk about all those things. How the heck are we gonna make this schedule work when I have treatment in order to obtain quality sleep? Gotta take care of a newborn. When will I go back to work?
What's gonna happen?
I wanna start by saying that the few family members I've talked to about this jump out the gate and say,
you better make him wake up and help you out with the baby in the middle of the night.
And I just wanna say something about that. First of all, my partner is like the kindest, most supportive, most helpful person I have ever met. And not just pregnancy, because this is obviously a new journey we're on. I just mean in general in life. Like, he's like the best friend you could ask for, partner, son, brother, etc. So I have not a single doubt inside of me that if I said, hey, I need help, or if he could just tell that I needed help, I wouldn't even have to ask, and he would be more than happy to help me. Secondly, I believe he's gonna take like a good 2 weeks to maybe a month off in the beginning with me. So luckily for me, I'll probably still be able to continue my treatment at the same time at night that I normally do now, which will be awesome. Most people don't get sleep with a newborn for reasons of the baby being up all night and them being up with them. But because I'll have him here, it may just work way better than I thought it would. With that being said, once he goes back to work, this is just me. No one gave me this idea. He never said anything to make me feel this way. I just feel like once he goes back to work while I'm still at home, I want to be the one to wake up in the middle of the night and take care of the baby, because he's the one that has to get up every day and go work all day and a very stressful job. So that's just how I feel. Now, again, if I need help, I am not afraid to ask for it, and I know I'll get that help right away. Also, from what I've researched, obviously you try to get them on a sleep schedule, and the more I get him on a sleep schedule, the easier it will be for me to continue my treatment around those times once he starts sleeping for longer periods of time. With that being said, we're gonna take it day by day. I know everything's gonna be fine. I know it's gonna be challenging. Heck, most of my life has been challenging in one way or two ways at the same time. So I'm up for it. I did go on Facebook and talk to different women in my narcolepsy groups about kind of how they worked their schedule, and got a lot of good ideas and insight on ways to do it. Because everyone's situation is different. Maybe the woman is the one who usually works and the man normally doesn't, or vice versa, or they both work, or who knows what the situation is. But it did help to talk to those people. Again, I will link some groups below if you need someone to talk to. I do just want to say that I will be posting, as part of the Pregnant with Narcolepsy series, the newborn plan that we have once we get a little closer to that time. I am not oblivious to the fact that things change. My plan is to breastfeed, but there's a 50-50 chance that maybe my body won't even allow me to breastfeed. And then that's out the window. And maybe things are easier or harder. We shall see. I am not opposed to formula feeding. I'm just going into it like, if I can, I'm gonna try it. Even if I'm able to and it works and everything's fine, if it's too hard for me, I'll switch to formula. I am not ashamed in any way to just do what's best for myself and my child. And that's that. My fourth and last initial concern is about giving birth. And not just giving birth like I'm a first-time mom thinking the worst, you know? I'm someone who hopes for the best and prepares for the worst, like literally in every situation. But on top of that, I have a cute little symptom called cataplexy. It causes me to lose muscle tone with strong emotion or laughter. And I kind of feel like giving birth is like a moment where I'm gonna have like strong emotion in one way or another. So I was concerned, like, what if I go to push this baby out of me and my cataplexy acts up and I physically can't push? I know some people would probably just be like,
Well, then you'll have a C-section.
which, like, whatever happens, happens, but it was an initial concern for me, so I figured I would mention it. I decided to go on my group again. I'm telling you, I love these Facebook groups. You talk to people who have been in your shoes. You can talk to your doctor all day, and I suggest you do so. That's great to talk to them, but there is no substitute for someone who knows how it feels and has went through it. So all of that to say, on my Facebook group, a lot of the women told me that even though that they have cataplexy, whether they didn't take their treatment during pregnancy or they did, that they didn't have any problems. A couple women told me that their doctors went ahead and scheduled them for a C-section. And one woman mentioned that it's a good idea to get the epidural earlier than normal because of the fact that being nervous can trigger your cataplexy, that the sooner you take it, whenever you start to become stressed, it won't be as bad. So I am gonna take that with a grain of salt, and I probably will bring it up to the nurses and or doctor when I'm there. And that's my plan. In my opinion, you just have to roll with the punches. So you can only be as prepared as you can be. The rest just happens the way it's gonna happen. That's all I have for you in this video. I just wanted to take some time to share my initial concerns about being someone who is treated for narcolepsy and is pregnant, because unfortunately there is not enough info out there about the subject. If you or a loved one has narcolepsy and you'd like to share a story, whether it's pregnancy, your diagnosis story, a funny story, a scary story, anything, I would love to hear it and share it anonymously in a new series that I have called Your Narcoleptic Stories. It's a way for me to raise awareness about narcolepsy and help others feel related too. And I will read them for the first time on camera so you get my real reaction and response. If you'd like to share that, the email address is in the description below. Just send me an email and I would be happy to share. For more episodes in the Pregnant with Narcolepsy series, you can head on over to this playlist where I will share more about my experience, our newborn plan, my birth story when that time comes, and then eventually parenting with narcolepsy. If you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. I appreciate you taking the time of day to hear my initial concerns. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night. See you in the next video.